wait a second. Before you start mentally going through every wrinkle, crease, and little thing you don't like in your own reflection in the morning, I want to tell you one thing. It may change the way you think about age and about your face altogether. There's one single detail in your appearance that ages you more than all the wrinkles put together, more than a tired look after a bad night, more than what you carefully cover with foundation every morning. And the most frustrating part of this whole story is this. Almost nobody looks at that detail. We're all fighting on completely the wrong front. Right now, you're probably thinking about skin. Fair enough. Skin is the first thing you see. It's what gives away your years first. And it's where we spend the most effort, money, and nerves. But no, it isn't the skin. Then posture, right? Your back, your shoulders, the way you carry yourself. Wrong again. Posture matters, I won't argue with that, but that's not what we're talking about now. Maybe hands? People often say hands reveal age more accurately than the face. A nice thought, but I'll stop you there too. It isn't that at all. It's the shape of the hair around your face. Yes, not the color, not the gray, not whether it's long or short. The shape. That very frame that surrounds your face every single day, and you don't even notice it because you're used to it. Your eye has simply grown accustomed to it, as they say. And here's why this matters more than it seems. When another person looks at you, on the street, in a store, at a get-together with friends, their eyes register the shape of the hair around your face in about a third of a second. A third of a second. Just think about that. Before you've even said your first word, before they've looked at your eyes, your smile, your skin. The first impression of your age is formed before we even have time to do anything about it. Before we pull in our stomachs, straighten our backs, and put on a friendly face. So it turns out to be a strange, almost unfair thing. For years, we honestly fight wrinkles, creams, massages, procedures, and yes, all of that really works. I'm absolutely not trying to talk you out of it. But at the same time, every day we wear a shape on our heads that adds years to us completely for free. And we don't touch it. Because we're used to it. Because it's comfortable. Because I've worn it like this my whole life and nothing changed. Sounds like a small thing, right? Just the shape of the hair. But that tiny thing is what turns out to be decisive. And do you know the best news here? You can change it. Not in 6 months and not for a fortune, but literally in one trip to the stylist. Sometimes in 10 minutes in the chair. It's probably the only investment in your appearance that pays off the moment you walk out of the salon. Hello, my darlings. I'm so glad you stopped by today. And let's agree right away on how we're going to spend these few minutes together. I'm not going to stand over you with a pointer and a stern face explaining what you're doing wrong. I'm not a fashion critic, and I'm not one of those people who looks down on others. I'm more like your friend who just happens to know this subject and is eager to share it with you in a good way. We'll be on equal terms, agreed? And now, here's what's waiting for you. I've prepared 10 examples for you. 10. 5 of them are haircuts that make the face seem heavier, older, and harsher, even though the woman herself doesn't even realize it and sincerely thinks they suit her. And 5 are haircuts that, on the contrary, brighten the face and soften it, as if someone turned on a light from within. And we're not just going to skim a list of, this is bad, this is good. No. For each point, I'll explain why one shape ages and another makes you look younger. Because when you understand how it works, you stop depending on other people's opinions and on the stylist's mood. You start seeing it for yourself. And here's something else that's definitely worth staying for until the very end. At the end, right at the very end, I'll give you 3 exact phrases. 3 simple sentences you can say to your stylist, and they'll understand you right away. No long explanations, no helpless, just do something prettier, and no disappointment when you leave the salon and realize at home that what you wanted was something completely different. Those 3 phrases are honestly worth a separate video, but I'll give them to you for free. Just watch with me until the end. So let's agree. You're staying with me until the finale. Pour yourself some tea, get comfortable, and if you can, sit somewhere with a mirror nearby, because we're going to check some things right on the spot, with our own hands, on ourselves. No complicated words, no textbook theory from a hairdressing manual, just simple, human, and clear. And one more thing before we begin. I really want you to let go of one anxious thought in advance. The shape you're wearing now isn't a sentence, and it certainly isn't your fault. Nobody's to blame for the fact that we were cut this way a long time ago, and almost nothing has changed since. Fashion for the face, oddly enough, moves too. We just don't think about it. So treat the next few minutes not as a list of mistakes, but as a calm fitting in front of the mirror. We're simply going to look, try things on, and decide what we like and what we don't. Ready? Then let's begin with the very first example. And I'll be honest right away, the first point will surprise a lot of people, especially those who have been absolutely sure all their lives that short hair always means youth, lightness, and convenience. Part 2. 5 haircuts that weigh the face down. So, let's begin. And the first example is the very one I promised. Get ready to be surprised. First, an ultra-short buzz cut. Very short, almost down to the skin. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine 2 women of the same age, say 60 years old each. Similar facial features, skin in the same condition. But one has that ultra-short buzz cut, and the other has a short haircut too, but a little longer, with a soft strand around the face. And honestly, the second one looks about 8 years younger. 8. Even though the difference in hair length is literally half a centimeter. Why does that happen? A buzz cut removes the frame around the face. Completely. The ears are exposed, the jawline is bare, and the whole face is left one-on-one with someone else's gaze, with no soft support along the edges. But that frame is exactly what softens the features and hides the things you'd like to tone down a bit with age. And I completely understand why women choose a buzz cut. The hair has thinned, it's become finer, dealing with length is exhausting and you don't want to bother, and then you wake up, run your hand over it, and you're done. Convenient, right? I don't blame you one bit. It's just that if you're going to cut it short, ask your stylist one thing. Shorter. Do you mean to the chin or right down to the skin? Because the stylist and you may understand the word short in completely different ways. Of course, there are exceptions. A buzz cut looks wonderful on women with very high, defined cheekbones and a long neck. For them, an open face only works in their favor. But let's be honest, there aren't many of those. And one more thing about gray hair, since we're on the subject. When there's a lot of gray, there's a temptation to just give up and shave everything off, as if that would look neater. But gray hair, when it's a good length, looks very noble. It's just color. It's not a reason to cut it short. Second, long straight hair of one length with no layers. That very length a woman wears for decades because it used to be her pride and joy. Here's how it works. The straight, heavy mass of hair drags the whole impression of the face downward. The corners of the mouth seem to droop. The face looks elongated and a little sad. And hair that's thinning with age reads in that length not as luxurious, but as sparse, unfortunately. A woman wrote to me saying she hadn't changed her length by even a centimeter in more than 20 years. And then, in a family photo taken from behind, she didn't immediately recognize herself. It felt like there was something heavy and foreign on her head. And when she cut the length to her shoulders, She liked her own reflection for the first time in years. What's more, she noticed it by accident, in passing, in a shop window, as she walked by. Not in her usual home mirror, where the eye had long since edited everything, but like this, caught off guard. But I'm begging you, don't chop it all off at once. Start by removing 4 or 5 centimeters, ask for a little light graduation, and see how it looks. If you like it, keep going. It's a process, not one sharp snip of the scissors. Third, a blunt, thick fringe from temple to temple, a hard horizontal line drawn as if with a ruler, and that line cuts the forehead exactly in half, creating a sharp contrast with the living, soft skin around it. And every little crease around the eyes stands out even more against that perfect straight line. And now, our first test, right in front of the mirror. Take your fringe and simply sweep it slightly to the side with your hand. No blow dryer, just as it is. And look, see? The face softens right away, because the line has gone from a hard horizontal to a soft diagonal. One movement, and a completely different impression. And one more warning, just from real life. That kind of fringe needs a visit to the stylist every 2 weeks. Otherwise, it grows out untidily and starts cutting across the forehead at odd angles. So you get a double loss. It ages you, and it's a pain. Fourth, a helmet-like voluminous style, curled, teased, drenched in hairspray, and absolutely immobile. Remember, at the end of the 80s, this was considered beautiful. It was a sign that a woman took care of herself. And today, unfortunately, that kind of styling is read in a second as an attempt to look younger, using methods from the last century. And let's be fair here, with no exaggeration. A lot of old-school stylists do this not out of malice. That's just how they were taught, and they work the way they're used to, without updating. It's just an assembly line. But there are also wonderful hairstylists who keep learning new things all their lives and go to courses. So it isn't about the stylist's age, it's about whether they're evolving or standing still. The test is very simple. Run your hand through your hair. If it springs right back into place, that's hairspray holding the shape. If it shifts softly and falls naturally, that's living, breathing hair. We want the second kind. Fifth, a strict geometric bob, straight and ruler straight. The mechanism is the same as with the fringe. A hard horizontal line at the level of the chin draws a sharp frame right around the area you actually want, softened with age. And here I'll speak about myself. I wore that kind of bob for 7 years. I liked it, and I still like it in photos, I won't deny it. The shape is beautiful. But on me, it emphasized my chin so much that every morning there was a faint feeling that something was off. And I couldn't figure out what exactly, because I loved that haircut and didn't want to doubt it. So here's my advice. If you love your bob, don't part with it. Just ask your stylist to soften the bottom edge with a razor. Don't change the length, don't add layers, just remove the hard line at the bottom. It takes 5 minutes, and the face will breathe easier. Well, there you have it. We've gone through all 5 heavy haircuts, and I'm really curious. Which point surprised you the most? Please put its number in the comments. I genuinely want to see what surprised you most. And I'm already dying to show you the other side. 5 haircuts that literally bring the face to life. Now, the nicest part. We've figured out what ages us. Let's look at what makes us look younger. And believe me, after this section, you'll want to book an appointment with your stylist tonight. First, a pixie with a longer fringe. It's basically the complete opposite of a buzz cut, even though both cuts are short. Remember I said a buzz cut removes the frame from the face? Well, let me give you another image. Picture a window. A bare window, no curtains. Light pours in, but it somehow looks empty and a little cold. And now the same window with a light, airy curtain. The light is exactly the same. But the impression is completely different. Warm, lived in, soft. That longer strand around the face in a pixie is exactly that curtain. And I know what you're afraid of right now. Pixie is way too short. Only for brave women, it won't suit me. Let me reassure you, a pixie works beautifully on fine, thinning hair. It doesn't need styling. You wake up, smooth it a little, and that's it. It needs refreshing every 5 or 6 weeks. As for the price, it varies a lot. In a small town, it's about $1,500. In a big city, $3,000 to $5,000. And one detail, a pixie exposes the neck. If your neck is your weak spot and that makes you uncomfortable, just ask to leave a little more length at the nape with a soft transition. The stylist will understand. Second, a longer textured bob to the shoulders, with light graduation and soft layers. This, my dears, is what I call the most versatile option of all. If you don't know where to start at all, start here. Remember the strict ruler straight bob? Well, imagine the difference between a drawing made with a ruler and a soft charcoal sketch. One is hard and precise, the other is alive and breathing. A textured bob is a charcoal sketch. It falls into place on its own, without a blow dryer or hairspray. Shake your head in the morning and go. For your stylist, remember this phrase: a longer bob with soft texture just below the chin. And one important tip, when you bring a photo, show haircuts on women your own age, not on 20-year-old models. On a young model, everything looks wonderful, but that doesn't tell you anything. And this bob is especially good on gray hair. Gray looks expensive and stylish in it. And ask your stylist to razor the ends, not cut them with scissors. The edge will be softer. Third, a modern cascade of soft layers. But let's immediately remove that old ladder cut from our heads, the one people did about 20 years ago, where the transition between strands was visible from a mile away, like steps. Now it's different. The layers start much lower, the transitions are smooth, and from the outside, the length reads as one even line, while volume and movement are hidden inside. And here's the main idea that almost nobody says out loud. Good layers don't remove density. They redistribute it. That means the hair doesn't become thinner. It becomes more mobile, more alive. That's a huge difference, and it determines whether you look younger or, on the contrary, thin yourself out. There's a technique like that. Internal, almost invisible layers. The outline stays even, and all the movement is hidden underneath. Ask your stylist directly. Are you skilled in internal layering? A good stylist will light up immediately. And I'll do a separate detailed breakdown of layers sometime. There are enough nuances for an entire video. Fourth, curtain bangs. And this isn't a haircut in itself, but a magical element you can add to almost any option from our good list. These are soft strands around the face with a diagonal edge, no hard horizontal line at all. And they do exactly the opposite of that blunt wall of a fringe. They soften the hairline and draw attention to the eyes, not the little creases. Do you know what makes them so great? Minimal risk and zero commitment. Let them grow out, and they just become pretty face-framing strands. Don't like them? Tuck them behind your ears, and nobody notices. Cost-wise, 300 to 500 rubles, about 10 minutes in the chair. And a little tip for later. If you decide to trim them at home, buy hairdressing scissors, not office scissors. Office scissors tear hair instead of cutting it, and then the ends split. And here's a safe length guide for your face shape. Let the strands reach the widest point of the cheekbone or just below it. That way, they frame the face softly instead of covering it. Fifth, a longer bob with soft graduation, length below the chin, down to the collarbones. You could say it's the golden mean. On one side, the polished look of a short haircut. On the other, the pleasant feel of length. The inner layers are a little shorter than the outer ones, and the ends tuck under slightly on their own. I'll compare it to the bob through mood, which makes it easier to understand. If a textured bob is a light breakfast on the run, quick and fresh, then a graduated bob is a leisurely lunch, substantial and cozy. Both are good, just for different moods. And here's a plus that almost nobody says out loud. This haircut grows out beautifully. It doesn't lose its shape after a month. It doesn't turn into a shapeless mass. You can visit the stylist calmly every 3 to 4 months. Price-wise, about like a nice dinner at a cafe, 2 to 3,000. And that investment works for you for 2 to 3 months. Admit it? That's a good deal. And now a little exercise right now in front of the mirror. Take a strand and bring it a little closer to your cheek. Look. And now tuck your hair behind your ear, opening your face. Feel the difference? In the first case, the soft frame makes the face look narrower and the eyes larger and more expressive. That's exactly what a longer bob does every day, without any effort from you. Well, my lovelies, we've gone through all 10 examples. 5 that drag you down and 5 that light you up. And I can already hear your question. All right, but how do I explain this to my stylist so they'll actually get it? That's exactly why you should stay. In the next part, I'll give you those 3 phrases I promised at the very beginning.